Noe Okimakanak Inc.
Good afternoon. Manitoba Kiiwetinoong Okimakanak in northern Manitoba recommends that the Special Rapporteur on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, the Expert Mechanism, and the Permanent Forum call upon member states to engage in a process of collaborative co-development with Indigenous peoples to develop and enact legislation that will require member states to develop and clearly articulate their respective policies and procedures to meaningfully recognize and to carry out constructive affirmation of the acknowledged rights of Indigenous peoples, and to communicate the degree of ambition that member states to achieve the meaningful exercise of the acknowledged rights of Indigenous peoples. Consistent with this objective, we further recommend that the Special Rapporteur, the Expert Mechanism, and the Permanent Forum call upon member states to, and without delay, develop and operationalize communication initiatives to openly articulate to civil society and corporate society the intentions and degree of ambition of member states to meaningfully recognize and to carry out constructive affirmation of the acknowledged rights of Indigenous peoples in order to achieve the meaningful exercise of the rights of Indigenous peoples. The initiative of member states to implement the declaration has resulted in considerable discourse and often vigorous debate between Indigenous peoples, civil society entities, and corporate society. Such open discourse amongst elements of society is important. However, when such discourse takes place in a vacuum in which a member state does not engage and clearly state its policies, intentions, and ambition to constructively affirm and achieve the meaningful exercise of the rights of Indigenous peoples, the result can be widespread exchange of misinformation about the nature and scope of the human rights and other rights of Indigenous peoples, and the potential of further fanning of the flames of racism and discrimination. Where steps are being taken to reverse or modify decades of state-sanctioned systemic infringement of the acknowledged rights of Indigenous peoples, the inevitable result is that persons and entities who have been unjustly enriched by such state-sanctioned systemic infringement will seek to take action to preserve the historic status quo. Manitoba Kiiwetinoong Okimakanak describes this as the reckoning. Instead of encouraging society to embrace the declaration and the objectives of the reconciliation and decolonization, the vacuum arising from the absence of the clear voice of member states in the public discourse about the human rights and other rights of Indigenous peoples can promote the opposite effect. Member states must stand firm and clearly communicate to civil society and corporate society their intent and ambition to protect human rights and to achieve the meaningful exercise of the rights of Indigenous peoples. We thank you all. Thank you.
I thank the representative of Manitoba Kiiwetinoong